Every result you have in life is because of a thought you had. And the thought you had is created by something typically that's out of your control. On average, you have 60,000 thoughts a day. And here's the fascinating part of this whole thing. 80% of those are negative. If you're not taking control of your thoughts, because your thoughts are just a story your brain has created, if you're not taking control of the thoughts, chances are you're having 60,000 thoughts with 48,000 of them being negative and 95% are being repetitive. So something happens outside of your control, the market, contract falls out, buyer suddenly can't qualify, all this stuff that can happen externally that you don't have control over can happen, which then triggers that thought if it's negative, right? And if I'm at a negative feeling or emotion, how do you think that's going to impact me, whether I take action or don't take action?
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world. We talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, stories, help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined by Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, what is happening? You're at Medellin, and I was literally right behind you yesterday working.
Yes,
and
right there.
something funny that I'll share with you before we intro our guest is
what could be so funny that you need to share with me on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, I have my headphones in. And I'm chatting with Jack, my COO of Sheridan Street, and she's like, she heard you on a sales meeting, and she's like, "Oh, I know where you are." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know whether that was a good idea or a bad idea, because like you were like going hard in the paint during your role play with your team."
Oh, I was role playing, yeah,
role playing, and Jack's like, "I know exactly where you are. I couldn't miss that." Energy, that tone, that's that person in the background. You're with Vikram, aren't you? I'm like, yes, I am with Vikram right now. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know. I thought it was a good thing. We had a great barbecue. That was good. I thought it was good.
Well, we also got a lot of work done too. Like
we did.
I missed living. So I always lived alone after my divorce, right? I don't think I ever had a roommate per se. I did live in a couple of friends/clients' houses just because money and things of that nature, right? In real estate, when you first get started, waiting for paychecks. And I also had like $500,000 in hard money loans and blah, blah, blah out there because we were flipping houses. So money was, you could say, tight at the moment. It was abundantly flowing, but it was tight at the moment that I decided to leave. And I don't know where I was going with the story.
You were talking about I don't know, bro. I can't read your mind, but I have a feeling you're talking about roommates.
So you got me thrown up on barbecue. I'm hungry. When I had my office, I never was at home. Like I was always at the office. I would get there at 6:37, 7:15 at the latest, and I'd stay there till 5, 6, 7. And as I always try to get the client into the office, right? I always try to get them into my office. I had a line to get them into my office. I hated meeting them outside. If it was a listing presentation, I always try to get another agent in the office to drive their car. And I would be like, yo, here's the thing. You want to shadow with me? Like, I'm all about it. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything in a listing presentation. Keep your head down in the notebook. Do not say a freaking word or I will stab you in the car. And I sold Cutco knives, so I'm not fucking around. But I would never drive, but I was always in proximity with my people, right? We were always role playing at dinner, like just like we did yesterday. We were always practicing. We always had our scripts on hand. Like there was always a script book somewhere, either whether it was my car, his car, my backpack, the office had 4 or 5 sets laying around. There was always the ability for us to practice. And like when I'm like, now that I'm building my own sales team and I'm getting out of like the front end of things because we're growing, I get to work with my sales guy every day. And today we were talking about, like, I was listening to his calls and he's like, bro, I don't like the new line. It's not landing. I'm like, dude, let me listen to a couple calls. And he throws the calls in there and I'm like, bro, what we need to work on is the banter. Like you're not able to banter with people. He's Swedish, Iraqi, Swedish, so language barrier for sure. But I'm like, we just need to work on bantering. So I came in here pretty fired up. Tony's like, Vic's aggressive, And like, he's like, this could be a different type of podcast that I'm used to, but like, I think one of the reasons that a lot of agents are failing right now, and I forgot about it because we, like me and you do it all the time. Me and my sales team do it all the time. I do it with my clients, but sometimes I forget that the banter portion of sales, right, is challenging for people because they don't practice being a smart ass. Like I'm a smart ass all day long. Like that's why, I get along because we can handle each other. But a lot of people, they don't practice that banter. They practice being polite and that old school business is gone. So we were practicing for the last 40 minutes, just bantering. And when people give you like a stupid response, like some guy says like, I can handle all the objections. Bro, I couldn't find this asshole, and I love him, but I couldn't find this guy on the fucking internet. And I was like, how much business do you think this guy does? He's like, well, I don't know. He said he can handle all the objections. He hung up on me. I was like, well, because you tried to follow a script instead of having a conversation. And he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And we tried to look him up. Bro, I could not find a single page with any type of sales history on the guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing, right, man? So like, but our clients are crushing it, dude. Like,
Yep.
My clients are
The
crushing it.
importance about scripts, don't get out scripted by the client.
Oh, bro, they get out scripted all the time. Shit, should we introduce Tony since he's talking, Cody?
Yeah.
We got this random third voice here that people don't know. What? Go for it, Cody.
Man, rethink coaching. You can see in the backdrop. We got connected on Facebook, and I think we threw a link out there looking for people that's really, like looking for more people to help what we're trying to do, help other real estate agents win in their local market today. And that's exactly what Tony's doing.
Yeah.
Comes from a Keller Williams background, agent himself. Tony, like, why don't you give us like a high level overview and like you kind of like 60 seconds, kind of how you got in the industry, what you're doing today. I know that you're doing some group coaching. You're also doing, you have one-on-one executive coaching. Why don't you give us like how the heck you even got into this and like what you're currently operating and doing now with the agents that you're working with?
Perfect. So I've been licensed since 2001. So I got my real estate license in 2001 in Dallas, Texas. Prior to that, it was in the hospitality industry. And I just, I have that burning desire to be an entrepreneur. I was raised by entrepreneurs and I was like, this just isn't working. And I love houses. So I not fell into, but was intentional about real estate. So started in 2001, sold individually, had a team, ended up selling my team, going into leadership, and then I went into coaching. And so that's kind of the quick and dirty of it. But when we sold at a really high level. We did condo conversion projects. We would carry anywhere between 40 and 400 listings at a time. And we just really produced at a super high level. So I learned that not everybody had the same ability to strategize or to have a business plan or a structure to grow the business to where they wanted it to go. A lot of agents just get into it and do what they want to do and hope it sticks. So I took what I learned and started using it in my coaching, and then we've elevated that as well in the coaching arena. So that's how I got here. And at the end of the day, for me, I like partnering with somebody to help them break through and to have experience a different level of success than they're maybe experiencing on their own, and let them create a life, that they intend to have versus experiencing something by default.
Let's start with breakthrough, because I think that everyone probably listening back to this podcast they hear the word breakthrough, they hear the word financial freedom, they hear these big buzzwords right now in a market.
No idea what they mean though.
Yeah, but maybe they do. Maybe they have like maybe they envision what that means for them. Like breakthrough can mean something different for every single. Maybe it's having their weekends free. Maybe it's $1 million in their bank account. Maybe it's 100 investment properties. Like breakthrough is different for everyone. I'm curious to know, in a market that is currently down nationwide 31%, the stats are out. Pretty much every single market across the U.S., minus a couple markets, is down in transaction volume. We're in one of the hardest years we've been in volume in years. What does that look like practically for the agent out there that says, hey, I want to experience a breakthrough in my life? And how do you coach to that?
That's a great question. And you kind of answered it truly. Everybody's definition or idea of a breakthrough is different. So I coach agents who, make over 7 figures a year, and they're not looking for more money. They're looking for a better life. I have agents that you coach that are, 400,000 a year and are looking for that financial breakthrough. So I think part of it, Cody, is as humans, we've got our brain allows us to think to a certain level, and sometimes we can't even see beyond that. And when you partner with somebody and get into proximity with somebody who can show you that there's more gas in the tank, that there's more opportunity, it turns the light on for them to crave to be able to do more. So the breakthrough occurs in a lot of different ways. From people who are coming to us, they're burnt out, they're ready to throw in the towel, they're frustrated, they need a breakthrough in their business to have it be better leveraged. People who are barely making less money as leading a team than they were as an individual, their breakthrough is a financial breakthrough to structure a team in a way that it supports them. So that's really, and tying into the market that we're in right now, it is what it is. It's one of the things that is out of our control. I can't control what's happening with interest. I can't control what's happening necessarily with inventory. And I have to stop giving it so much power. And just, it's a market, period. Now, how are we going to attack?
Can we go into that a little bit? Because, I recorded a podcast just before this, and it was get out of the water cooler talk, right? Get out of the copy machine talk, because the coffee room, the water cooler, the copy machine, it's all the agents that are not typically doing business hanging out there, saying the things as to why they're not able to do business. And what I would ask you guys, and gals listening to the podcast right now, is, do those tend to be the same agents year over year that are always finding an excuse, right? I remember in 2017, the water cooler talk was, oh, it's so hard to win. There's so many offers on the table. And I'm like printing up offer after offer that are executed. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I'm just going to go sit in my little cubicle and stay away from you guys, because that's not our reality over here. So can we talk about the mindset? Because I think right now, a lot of agents, and even the big guru coaching companies like Tony Robbins and, you name them that are out there, they're all talking about mindset right now. So I know everybody says mindset's the most important thing, blah, blah, blah. What does it actually mean when you're down in the dumps and you got your face in the mud and you feel like you got 1,000 pounds on your back? How can we help these people? You guys, there's people that are making $300,000 that feel this way, and there's people that are making $50,000 or $0,000 that feel this way. So it's not the financial component of it. It's where they feel they're at in their own journey.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear you unpack that a little bit for us, Tony, and for the audience, and get your take.
So Victor, one of the first things I would do would be, start in a conversation with that person and figure out where they are with their beliefs. Do you believe it's possible? Do you believe it's possible for you? Number one, because if your beliefs aren't in alignment with what is possible, you're going to only achieve what you believe. The other thing is that's really critical. Every result you have in life is because of a thought you had. And the thought you had is created by something typically that's out of your control. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I've done a lot of Tony Robbins. I've done NLP, Think and Grow Rich, right? Everything starts with a thought. 100%. Can you dive into that a little bit deeper? Because right now, a lot of the thoughts are the market's tough. There is no activity, right? We start all of our coaching calls with a quick win, not to waste 7 minutes of time, but it's to show people that things are happening regardless of what your market is, right? It's that social proof. But who said it? They said, if you knew how powerful your thoughts were, you would never say or do you would never say or think the things that you think. I don't know I can't give credit to that quote, but help us, because you're all about rethinking.
Right.
Even at the green room, you're like, we can fix, reprogram that subconscious, because that's what it is. It's the subconscious mind that, so let's unpack that, because I don't think a lot of people understand human psychology.
Perfect. So on average, you have 60,000 thoughts a day, 60,000 thoughts a day.
And that's up from 40,000 just a few years ago.
Correct. So 60K thoughts a day, and most of them are happening on an unconscious level, right? Because a lot of times people say, I don't have 60,000 thoughts a day. I'm like, sit in silence for a minute, and the only exercise you have is to not think. It's not possible.
Go
right?
meditate.
So you have 60,000 thoughts a day on average. And here's the fascinating part of this whole thing. 80% of those are negative. So 80% of 60,000 is 48,000 negative thoughts. 95% of your thoughts are repetitive. So if you're not taking control of your thoughts, because your thoughts are just a story your brain has created, if you're not taking control of the thoughts, chances are you're having 60,000 thoughts with 48,000 of them being negative and 95% are repetitive. So that's number one. We have to start with what is happening that is creating the thought, or your brain to create a story. That's really how I believe a thought is. It's just your brain giving it a story to hold on to.
Yep.
So when you have something happens outside of your control, the market, contract falls out, buyer suddenly can't qualify, all this stuff that can happen externally that you don't have control over can happen, which then triggers a thought. That thought, if it's negative, is most likely going to produce a negative feeling or emotion.
Totally.
Right? And if I'm at a negative feeling or emotion, how do you think that's going to impact me, whether I take action or don't take action?
So Cody, I got a lot of questions here. So you got to jump in when you
I'll jump in when I jump in.
Okay. So, couple of things that you said, one is we're holding on to these stories, right? So we hold on to a story, and that, you guys, I know people who are uberly successful financially, 7, 8, 9 figures, incredibly disciplined, can't lose 5 pounds in their life, right? And I know other people who are incredibly disciplined with their gym, their health. They can't create an opportunity in business if it were right there in front of them. Can we talk a little bit about what you mean, like we're holding on to these thoughts?
Yeah. The brain naturally does its best job to protect you in keeping things consistent. Doesn't like a whole lot of change. And so when you think about the market that we're in right now, it's different than, I've been in it since 01. I've been through 9/11. I've been through the 08 debacle. I've been through what we're going through right now. And we've never experienced anything quite like what we're currently experiencing. It's new.
Right.
And so your brain's going to do the best job to not have you do different things because it's uncomfortable. So it's going to feed you on an unconscious level with thoughts. Hey, Cody, don't do that. What if you fail? You might look really stupid. And it's creating a story to keep you from taking an action or doing something potentially different or what it considers to be risky. So the brain's really creative in a way that it can seduce you into a belief or a thought. And a lot of it is from old programming. Cody, yeah.
When we talk about thinking about reprogramming ourselves, I think the best example for people that, for me personally, that anyone that's followed my journey last year, at the beginning of the year, I made a decision I was going to do the Heart 75. I dropped 30 pounds. Vic was with me in Argentina last year. I did not want to go to the gym. I go to the gym every single day now, at least 4 to 7 times a week. I just can't. I look at my old self of not going to the gym. I'm like, how the hell did I ever put myself in that situation where I allowed myself to not take care of my health, what I eat? You almost look back at your past self. You're like, who is that person? How does somebody that might be sitting in a moment where they feel down, they feel out, to allow themselves to reprogram? Is there a first step that you take? Is there a decision that needs to be made? For me, it was I was just got fed up with how I felt. And it was that, and I know that Tony talks about the either run away from pain or you run towards pleasure. For me, it was running away from pain.
Yeah.
That allowed me to create the life I have today. Can you unpack that a little bit? That reprogramming of the mind, how somebody, because we talk about epiphany moments where okay, I get it now, and you make a decision. Is that just happenstance, or do you think that is created?
I believe it's created. And, if you look at, to unpack, I would say, what's your compelling future? So you have this goal, and it's not just X amount of units, right? What is the impact that is going to have on you? And here's the really cool thing. If we sit in that and just say, hey, it's December 31st, and you've achieved every goal that you set out, and your income goal, your revenue goal, your life goal. Tell me what you've experienced and what you are experiencing, and you experience as if it's already happened. You start to live it as if it's already happened to you, because the brain doesn't necessarily know between real and make-believe. So you can sit in that space and create that compelling future. That's number one step, is to get into what that is going to look like and what it's going to do for you and those that you love, or whatever you choose to do with it. So it's not just about hitting a number, it's about the overall impact. That is number one, where we can start to change and unpack our thoughts. Because if we believe that this is true and possible and has happened, then we have to change the story or the thoughts that the brain is tossing at you. Otherwise, you're not going to get to it. And so that's number one. Let's create the belief that it's happened. And now let's go back to thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, because the thoughts are going to drive what you decide to do to get to that compelling future. So it doesn't happen. If it happens by happenstance, luck does happen every once in a while. It does, right? We call it a bluebird. Sometimes lands in your lap. You get a $2 million listing you didn't know was going to happen. But for the most part, it doesn't just happen organically. You have to make a decision.
You know, do you have I know Tony Robbins does the Dickinson process at UPW, right? And for those of you guys who don't know the Dickinson process, it's essentially you think about like Scrooge in the movie. Well, it's called Scrooge, right? The movie Scrooge is called Scrooge, I think, right? Plays every year.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Plays every year around Christmas time, and they take Scrooge, right? And they have him basically, you know, he's a mean, unhappy old man. And then they take him through, like, future pace him through the compelling future of what life could look like if he made some changes. And then they rip it all away from him and they show him what his life is really like, right? So it's a process that Tony takes people through. It's incredibly painful. It's incredibly hard. People try to leave the room because they can see what their future is going to look like if they keep doing the same thing and nothing changes. But those people came into the room for something, right? They're there for a reason. Like, they signed up to get changed, right? Something's not happy. I want better. I'm going to go to spend $5,000, go to this room and do weird shit, lay on the ground and cry and scream. And it's going to be great afterwards. And I'm going to hug everybody around me. But a lot of people, they didn't sign up for that, Tony. And they're not really looking for that major change. Do you have a process like to help people get to that impact moment when you're talking to them, like, that isn't as aggressive? Because, you know, or could you walk like Cody or me through like how you would do that? And I know we're kind of bumping up on time, Cody. Yep. So how are we still good on time if we do like a little exercise, if you have one?
Yeah. I mean, you tell me if we've got time. We can briefly, all of this stuff is tying together. So if we've got a couple minutes, we can run through what you can do. And then I really feel like it's important to tie down the thoughts, feeling, actions, results.
Yeah.
Thoughts are driving the bus. So to create a compelling future, you know, honestly, you sit in it. What would it do for you, right? Like, what's the impact this is going to have? Who is going to be impacted? What is going to be impacted? You get them to see the possibility, number one. And it goes back to pain, pleasure, right? So if you aren't able to do that, if that doesn't happen, let's say it's to send your kids to a private school. So if that doesn't happen, are you prepared to have the conversation with your kids that you're going to go to public school? Because that's the decision you're making. So you help them see the consequences of if they don't take action or do something different today. That's really the truth. You're really creating their truth.
Yeah.
And they just haven't stopped to look at it. When you create their future, this is what's possible. This is what you're doing. And you're telling them the truth that they don't want to hear. You're robbing your kids. You're robbing yourself. You're robbing your family. You can't do the scholarship or donate to the charity. So that's really the exercise we're going to put them through. This is what you could have. If you keep doing what you're doing, this is what you're going to give up. And are you comfortable having those conversations with the people you love? Just
build the gap. Show them where they're at, where they want to be, then pull it away from them.
Well, yeah, because you're telling them the truth, right? You keep doing what you're doing, and this is what you're going to get. So we're not going to get to that compelling future. And you go back to, you know, typically people who are stuck or not hitting goal tend to focus on actions. I'll just do more. I'll make 50 more calls this week, or I'll do, 100 more door knocks, or I'll do 5 open houses. They want to fall into the action step. It's thoughts, feelings, actions, results. If I don't clear up the story and the thought and the feeling or the emotion that I'm experiencing, I'm not going to achieve taking action. I'm not, because the thought's driving my emotion and my feeling, which impacts what I do. So we create what's possible, and we then start to dissect to say, if we have 60,000 thoughts a day and 80% are negative, we can choose to rewrite those thoughts. What are the thoughts that you would like to have? What is the emotion that you would like to experience? And what are the thoughts that support that emotion? And you start rewiring the brain's thinking. Instead of a negative thought, you're going to have more positive thoughts. And you'll notice the negative thought a lot quicker. And we just say when you have a negative thought, it's just a thought default. That's it.
All right.
Change it. Yeah, you're not going to ever eliminate having negative thoughts. It's not possible, but you can control the thoughts you have. Does that make sense?
Bro, I love it. One of the things there's a lot of things that I've done recently in the last, I'd say 7-8 years and continuous. One of the things that I do though is my team went on this big, follow everybody on social media, reach out to them, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, delete everybody. But it's bad delete everybody. And for me, I want to get down to 100, 200 people that I know and care about, but that I would sit down and have a business conversation with. I would sit down and have a personal conversation with, right? And they don't spew out the negativity. Right? Me and Cody have been in Colombia for a long time now. I don't really know what's happening in the world outside of what I see on social media. So when I start to see a lot of things, I just either tell my friends, I'm like, hey guys, I don't want to see this. If you're my friend, you won't send it to me. I know you're programmed to send me these stupid things. So we got to work on the programming, but be conscious about what you're putting out there. And 2, what are you bringing into your space? What are you listening to? It's not just you are the you're not just the, what is it? You become
sum of the 5. Yeah.
The sum of the 5. It's not the sum of the 5 anymore. It's the sum of the 5 people that you're consuming the most content of. It's the sum of the 5 people you're hanging out with. It's the sum of the 5 people at the water cooler. That all takes into account because there's more media than there's ever been. And it's typically not there to make you a better human. It's there to keep you engaged. And the amygdala in the back of our brain, the fight or flight, it needs to know what the dangers are. So it's going to keep you watching the danger. And it's programmed not to give you information. It's programmed to make you stay there and get the marketing dollars that says we have 80,000 million trillion people. So it's important that we realize as we're looking as to why do we have 60,000 thoughts and 48 of them are negative, is what are we putting into our brain and consuming that it is ticking that number up a little bit, instead of bringing it down into consciousness.
Yep. It's so true. We made a decision to not watch the news, and some people are like, that's so irresponsible. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. So we don't
make my own news.
Right. I can do some research and find out what I need to find out. Right. Yeah. And social media, right? I always say, don't compare your blooper reel to somebody else's highlight reel, because nobody on Facebook is posting, I really screwed up today. There's not.
I do that, but they don't. Facebook doesn't like it, so they don't show it to anybody. They don't. Sorry, they don't show that. They only show the bullshit.
That's true. And to your because bad news sells, right? And so to your point, you have to be really diligent about what you allow in and what you allow to break through that barrier, because it is a place people want more bad than good. It just don't know why. So your point is right on. You choose what you're going to do. Choose the amount of time you're on social media. Choose what you watch. Choose the podcast you listen to. Choose who you have dinner with. It makes a difference.
Tony, so much value today you brought, and we got to wrap up here. If somebody were to want to reach out to you, maybe they want to learn more about Rethink Coaching, maybe they want to just have a chat with you, maybe they want to hire you, where is the best place that we can send them in order for them to learn more about what you do and how you can help them?
Perfect. So my personal Instagram is Tony M, like Michael Caliendo, and Rethink Coach is our company Insta. There's website, rethinkcoaching.com. you can email me directly, Tony at Rethink Coaching. I'll set up a free strategy call with you just to make sure we're the right fit. And if we're not, get you to the right person. So if you Google me, you'll find me.
I like that. I like that. I like you wrap that all up, Tony. Good job, my man.
We would love to know.
Tony, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.